My name is John Freese, and I've been an arcade technician for the past 41 years. I got my start up here from my Votech teacher for electronics. He told me they needed some help up here, and I came up at 19 and been working here ever since. When I first started the arcade, you were still at the end of the pinball era. Video games were just coming out to the arcade, like Defender, Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Asteroids. They were just coming out in like 1982, which was my first year. The industry really took a big swing then for the better, because nobody had these wonderful arcade games at home. And it lasted about a good 9-10 years until they started making home systems. Atari, Commodore 64, all the arcade games you could play at home. Things turned south then for the arcade in terms of video games. We were probably balanced, I would say, 50% video games, 50% redemption equipment. But now that the video games don't make as nearly as much money, we're 90% redemption. I love figuring out a problem that nobody else has figured out. For some reason, it gives me satisfaction that, yeah, I did it, I figured it out, I beat the machine. That's probably the most rewarding thing. It doesn't happen often because most of your jobs are repetitive and menial. Occasionally you get new problems you got to figure out and solve. The original owner of the arcade, Tom Hughes, came to me one day and decided, we have a progressive sign and I want to have a use for it. I want to make my draw poker machines made by ACL, American Communication Laboratories. He said, I want to make this progressive. And I spoke to my father, who was a software engineer, and he said, yeah, I could probably take that apart and figure it out. He had no code or anything for it. He did it all reverse engineering, and he figured out the code, and we modified all the boards for the machines. We had 20 machines at that time, and hooked them up to our sign, and lo and behold, we had the first progressive poker machine in Wildwood. I used to be a big fan of the paper ticket, and I am for the kids' smiles, but for our environment, the other way is better. And we're going to be removing a lot of our tickets at the end of this year and going to the reader card. It's going to save the arcade a lot of money. It's going to be better for our environment, and it's going to be quicker at the counter. They can just scan your card and I got all your tickets. I don't have to count them by hand or weigh them. It's going to save time. Ooh, most challenging thing. Probably trying to remember everything and ordering all the parts you need, because I like to keep things fixed quickly, and the only way to do that is if you have the parts on hand. Otherwise you wait, and ever since COVID, the wait has become longer. I'm familiar with all the mechanics up and down the boardwalk, because we speak to each other. We let each other know common problems we have with games and what we did to fix them. It helps. It helps tremendously. And also, hey, you have a part I need, I have a part you need. One hand washes the other that way. We're pretty good like that. We redid our pokers, put new monitors in them, and made them look nicer, and everybody seems to love it this year. They're playing the pokers a lot. I have to say though, almost every machine in here gets played well, especially when we're full. What keeps me coming back is the kids now. I love seeing the smiles on the kids' faces when they win and they have fun. That's probably the most enjoyable thing I have, and I get it daily as long as I look around. It's great.
Jackpot!